How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nick. So, how's the day so far?
Yeah, I made it. Finally.
Awesome.
How's it going?
Doing well, Nick. So, how's your day so far?
Oh, not bad. Not bad.
Good, good. So, Nick, Nothing is Real, your new album, the end is near to be out on 31st of this month. So, would you like to tell me about this new album behind it?
So, basically for this album, I wanted to kind of make the most evolved sound for the band and kind of combine everything we had ever done before in one album. And I wrote about 6 or 7 songs on my own. And then I met up with my friend Jeremiah, who was the drummer on the last album, Transmissions of the Unearthly. He's a very like sparse drummer, and he's really into kind of prog and math rock and all the old school psychedelic stuff. So he's not a metal drummer by any means, but he knows exactly how to lay down like the backbone of the song. And so we just all met up at my rehearsal studio where I had a bunch of my new amps all lined up. So I was playing extremely loud, and he was playing hitting very hard. And we just tracked all those songs in 2 days. And basically we'd say, okay, that wasn't good, let's do it again. Boom. All right, that was good, move on. Like I'd play the song for him once and he'd be like, okay, I get it. And boom, just go for it. And once we had all those bare skeletons down of the song, I kind of built on top of them with all the other instruments. And then I sent it to my other drummer who I work with often, Jared Moran. He's definitely a metal drummer at heart, right? Because some of these songs go into more metal segments where they need some double kick or need some blasts or some extra fills and stuff. So Jared filled in as a second drummer on the whole album. So there's 2 drummers. And it kind of reminds me of these old videos of King Crimson playing live where they had a drummer and then a percussionist going crazy, hitting all sorts of stuff. So Jared was the crazy percussionist hitting everything, filling out the sound, and Jeremiah was the drummer just laying down the solid backbone. And then from there, once I had the whole album finished up, I had this weird drone synthesizer from Russia that I had bought, and it just makes these horrifying drone sounds. And so I just recorded a bunch of weird drones and filled out the album with that. And between the songs kind of as perfect segues into everything. And I found these samples from an old documentary that talked about it was a 1970s documentary where they did computer tests about how basically if humanity continues living how we are, that the world is going to be ending very soon. And I think it's coming true more and more and more in our modern day. So I kind of just chopped all those samples up and put those within the like horrible abrasive synth section. So it's just a very uncomfortable feeling, but there are parts of the music that are very uplifting too. So it's just like a very strange hour-long journey. And that's what I was going for.
Wonderful, wonderful. And talking about the album, 11 amazing songs, great work, amazing percussions behind it, brilliant work behind this album, to be honest with you. So, as a creator, what are your thoughts on this new album?
I mean, I think I achieved what I was trying to do, and that's what I try to do every time. With every Nothing Is Real album, they're all essentially concept albums. So I come up with some weird, far-fetched idea, and I just try to make that become a reality in whatever way I can. Some of them work out better than others, but at the end of the day, I did what I was trying to do, and that's really my goal. And this one, I just feel like I took the time. I really feel I've refined the sound after a lot of albums, and I think this one's kind of, instead of focusing on one small thing of a concept album, like I know Desert of Illusions was like, let's do acoustic dark country doom,
Yeah.
And then Symphony Mysterium, I'm like, let's do a classical Doom album. Whereas this one, I wasn't really trying to fit the sound to anything. It's just kind of combination of everything and the overall concept. So I know that it is pretty long, and the synth sections are gonna, turn some people off or make them bored. But for my ear, it stays very interesting the whole time. But I know everyone's different, and someone's
Yeah.
gonna be crying about it, and that's okay. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I did what I was trying to do, and that's
whatever
all I care
whatever
about.
makes you happy, that's more important.
Yeah, exactly. You
Good.
can never make everyone happy. One
Absolutely.
thing I've learned. And you can try to make an album that makes everyone happy, but guess what, you're going to get a bunch of 8 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 reviews, and then everyone's going to forget about it in a month.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make an album that's true to your vision, you're going to get some hate, you're going to get some love, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the people who love it are going to keep listening to it for years to come.
Absolutely, absolutely. And on the other hand, your other band, Psionic Madness, your album Rotting Dominion is to be out on 29th of this month.
Yes,
So,
sir.
would you like to tell me a bit about the songwriting and the production behind this awesome metal album?
So I remember on the first album, their old band was called Morgue Walker, and Justin kind of brought me in, the vocalist brought me in and said, Nick, I want you to do guitar on our new album. So I thought it was going to be a Morgue Walker release. So I kind of listened to their old stuff, and I kind of toned down a lot of my playing to sort of fit that sound of just kind of a dirty death grind sound. But obviously I'm not very good at toning down my playing. I kind of like go all out all the time. So um I still injected a lot of my own stuff in there, but I was trying to keep the songs really short and trying to keep it very linear and cohesive. And that was the first album was great. I'm very happy with it, but um once Justin heard everything in the way I composed tracks, he's like, listen, for the second album, just go all out. Do whatever you want. So basically the second album is just no limits, and it's me doing whatever the hell I want on guitar,
Yeah.
Justin doing whatever the hell he wants on vocals, and Jared doing whatever the hell he wants on drums, and just blasting incessantly. And it's just all three of us focusing on what we're best at,
Mhm.
because we're all in one man projects also, and in different bands where we play all kinds of instruments. But I feel like in this band we're able to just hone in on our specialties and really come together and create something great. And so I didn't restrain myself at all on the guitar compositions, and the focus was still death grind, a lot of like cryptopsy type stuff is what I was listening to at the time for inspiration, but threw in a ton of weird dissonance, black metal, atmospheric stuff, and crazy weird lead work. And I feel like Jared just absolutely nailed it on the drums. I mean, I didn't have to really edit one thing. It was just perfect takes for each song. And he plays in one take just for a song. He just hits record and does the whole song in one take.
Oh,
So it's amazing. And then Justin just nailed those vocals. And I feel like, I wasn't quite sure how to mix everybody, because I kind of like quieter vocals and Justin loves to be very loud in the mix. So I finally learned on this album how to get everyone sounding really big and really loud, and really clear. Like literally the bass is huge, guitar is loud, drums are huge, and vocals are huge, but everything's kind of sitting in its right spot. So I
wonderful.
feel like this album's where we finally found our sound that we're going to use moving forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. And a great cover art that goes behind this album. So, would you like to tell me a bit about the theme behind this cover art?
I don't know too much about it because I know that Justin secured the cover art. He had purchased that cover art from someone, so I really don't know too much about it. But let me see if I can look it up real quick.
Yep.
Um, So just like I'm a lot like Justin in the sense that if I see some cover art that really catches my eye, I will purchase it and just save it for something. And I like to have a reserve of cover art for things that it may fit in the future. So let me see right here. So it says Jack Hammer Blood Art is the artist.
Okay.
So I've never worked with him personally. I know Justin talked to him, but I think it's really good, classic, old school, black and white. You know what I mean? It's something you could see on an old demo or CD from the 90s or something. I love it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And do you have any special plans on the release day of both these albums?
Honestly, not really. Not really. I'm thinking about potentially doing some live work for Nothing Is Real, since I have my drummer Jeremiah out here, who's on the last two albums. We do live pretty close together, and we can easily play pretty much most of the repertoire. You know, the problem is finding like a bassist and another guitarist who could fill in as well, but I do think it's possible.
Yeah.
As for the release day of both these albums, you know, generally how we do it, we do a pre-order for a while, keep promoting more songs on YouTube and stuff. And then when the whole album drops, we have some channel put up the whole album on YouTube so everyone can see it, as well as that's when I start shipping all my orders. So basically I'm just going to be shipping 1 million CDs that I haven't shipped yet. And I have it, the double vinyl is in process of being pressed. So I'm going to be getting that test press shortly and probably have it by the end of the year, hopefully, so I can start shipping that out. But as far as like very special plans, just pretty much what I do with every release, you know, try to build it up, get it promoted on YouTube and some other platforms, and then you know, ship out everything. So
Sounds good. Sounds good. And do you have any plans to go on a tour for these two albums?
um so I know Justin and I, for Psionic Madness, we would be totally willing to do a tour. Jared has played in bands his whole life, and I think he's just done touring. He's like, I love recording and writing, but I'm done touring. Like, I'm not young anymore. I'm married. I don't need to do all that. I don't need to be traveling place to place every night and drinking and getting in fights and this and that. And I'm done with it. Like, he did it for, you know, 20, 30 years. So he's done, you know? So we try to talk him into it, and he's just kind of like grumpy old man, like, shut the fuck up. I'm not doing it. So, you know, maybe one day, well, you know, we can tour Psionic Madness with a different drummer. But like I said, with Nothing Is Real, we are starting to create something of a live act in the works, and we may, if we get it going and sounding good, we may do a tour at some point. But we've got a lot of stuff to work out, because we've got the synth drones, the samples. All the albums have different sounds, different tunings for the guitars. I would probably need a rack of like 10 different guitars to properly do all the albums. But it would probably be easier if we just did one album at a time on the tours. I think we can definitely make it happen. So probably by next year, you'll see us playing a few shows if we make it all work out.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how has the musical journey been for you so far?
So really my main I've been playing since I was 8 years old, and my main journey started about 6 years ago when I finally got sober. I used to be on a lot of drugs my whole life, and it was really hard for me to really commit to music or get anything done, because you know, I was always in jail or on the streets or doing something crazy. And finally I decided I needed to get sober and focus my whole life on music. And from there, I just put all my energy into writing, learning how to record, mix, master, do all the things that I had put off for my whole life. I was always good at playing and writing, but the whole release process and mixing, mastering, I really had no idea. So my first album I put out on my own was that first Nothing Is Real album called Give Me Your Energy. I had no idea how to mix. I had the shittiest equipment in the world, and but they were all songs I had written over the last year when I was getting sober, and some of the best songs I ever wrote. And I didn't think that album would do well at all, and people loved it, and it kind of blew my mind and saying, all right, I can keep going and doing this. So I kept going with the Nothing Is Real stuff, learning more and more with each release, and then, you know, started just joining a million other bands and just going for it, and you know, doing whatever genre I felt like doing at the time. So from there, I've just learned a lot about what fits each genre, how to mix, how to master, how to release things either independently or through a label, you know, how to do tape, how to do vinyl, how to do all sorts of stuff. And then, you know, I've played live and toured in my local band here called Moldering Vibration, which is super fast old school grindcore, and then has some sludge parts where we slow it down. So, you know, I've gotten that experience as well. But really, you know, it's just going to be a lifelong journey where I'm still learning and developing, and you know, learning how to conquer each genre and create what the music needs without doing too much, you know. So that's my journey so far.
Wonderful, wonderful. And would you like to share some of the highlight moments of your career in music?
um I think, you know, like I said, that first album that I put out with no expectation of what was going to happen and it doing well was so crazy to me. I had no idea that people would like something like that, because I was just writing whatever weird stuff was in my head and just no thought anyone would like it. So that was huge. I remember my first Acausal Intrusion album getting picked up by Voidhanger Records, and people loving that so much, and getting an album out on a double vinyl and all that. When the artist was the same artist who did Mayhem's cover art and Behemoth. For me, that was just huge. Like I felt like I was on the pedestal of some of my heroes at the time, and you know, it was just amazing to me that people would give me that kind of chance, and that recognition blew my mind. Then some of the live shows I played with Moldering Vibration, I remember in Sacramento, we played in this little punk concrete room, just packed with people, and there's people just jumping off our stage, going crazy, gigantic mosh pits, and just amazing to see people having that much fun. You know, when you're out there touring, it's like you never know if it's going to be a great show, if there's going to be like 5 people there just drinking beer, standing there, you know. You never know. And that night was one of those shows where everything was perfect, and the band sounded great, and you know, it was just really everything fell into place. Other than that, you know, I feel a high with each album I release, you know, and because I'm always working on so much stuff, you know, I'm really only satisfied with what I'm working on in the moment. So as soon as I'm done with it and it's out, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm on to this next thing, and this is way better, you know. And it's not till I can take a break from it for a while and look back at something I did a couple years ago that I'm like, wow, that was actually really good. But when I'm moving forward in all these different projects and trying to get better and better in my craft, it's just I'm really only satisfied with what I'm currently doing. So I'm getting towards the end of the year, so I'll take a little vacation soon, but next year is going to be more of the same.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how do you manage to handle these 2 bands?
Well, I'm in a lot more than just these 2 bands, and I also work a very demanding job. So basically, like the only live band is that Moldering Vibration, and then a couple other grindcore bands out here, but most of this other stuff is just recording projects. So I'm able to write songs fairly easily, get them recorded, and I just work on them in all my free time. And I try to focus on one project at a time, because if I'm trying to like finish 4 or 5 albums at once, it'll drive me crazy. I like to focus on one thing, get it finished, and then move on to the next. And how I'm able to complete so much music is I don't overthink it. When a song sounds good and it sounds finished, it's done. I don't need to keep tweaking every little thing to make it perfect, because at the end of the day, it ends up sounding worse when most of us do that. And so what I do spend a lot of time on is when all the songs are complete, I like to make it flow into a perfect album. And so with that, I'll experiment with the track orders, or making some effects to like some reverb that washes right into the next song. And it's like a Pink Floyd type thing for me, that I really like it to be to play a full album and be a full experience. And I think it's something we've been losing with the Spotify or the singles or this and that. For me, I always grew up, if I liked a band, I was going to listen to the whole album, and that's how it's intended to be listened to. So that's something I do spend a lot of time on. But at the end of the day, I just devote pretty much all my free time to music, and that's how I'm able to get it all done.
Wonderful. And any goals or milestones that you have set up to take both these bands out of US to the other side of the world?
So for Nothing Is Real, I'm really not sure what the next album's going to be yet. I haven't, nothing's come into my head yet. And I try not to force it. It's just I wait for an idea to come forward, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But thus far, nothing's really come forward in my mind yet of what to do next, because I've done so many things already. It's got to be something extra special. I think I might still do the 2 drummers thing, because I thought it sounded awesome. But as for the main theme of the album, that still hasn't hit me yet. And then I'm sure we're going to do another Psionic Madness next year and just make it even more tight and crazy and focused than the last one. So maybe my goal for that would be to do a vinyl release for that as well. So we'll see where both bands head, but as soon as I think of something for the Nothing Is Real, I'll be starting work on it right away.
Awesome. And any plans to come up with an official video for any of these albums?
So I know that Justin loves making the lyric videos for Psionic Madness, and he wanted me to do a live playthrough video of it also, and he ended up splicing me doing the little guitar solo into his lyric video. But I'm sure he's good at that video editing stuff. I'm sure he would be willing to do it down the line. So we have footage of all of us recording the song all the way through, so we could probably splice it together with some other stuff and have a good little music video.
Wonderful. And finally, do you have any message for the fans and people who are new to these bands?
Just that I truly appreciate anyone who's out there listening to our work, and I do my best to keep my playing as weird and demented as possible, and anyone who likes that, it's truly amazing. I think that this music and extreme metal is for people who are constantly looking for something more heavy, weird, strange that someone else isn't doing. And I'm just really glad to be part of this rabbit hole that some of us go down, looking for the next and craziest thing. You know what I mean? Because I'm right there with you guys, always looking for the next and craziest band I've never heard. So I thank you guys so much.
Awesome. And Nick, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this amazing opportunity to have you on this interview. And thank you so much for these 2 amazing albums that you're putting up over this week. And both amazing albums, great songs, great work. The power, the energy is outstanding. So thank you so much for this wonderful music, and looking forward to more great things from you and the bands. Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, man. Take care of yourself. Bye.